Hey, so this is the last day of February, and I wanted to literally just record this video and share with you like the performance for the month of February 2026, right? So I created this skill in Claude, and this skill is literally, it pulls data from all these different sources, because one of the challenges of really having a comprehensive report is, hey, data is all everywhere. Like I have data in Meta, I have data in in Google Analytics, I have data in Clarity, right? So there's all this data that's in different platforms, but I don't have like a real connection to actually plug in all this data together, so I can at least, if I ask Claude or my agent Octopus, right? Octopus is my agent, my Claude agent. Hey Octopus, could you actually go in and tell me what was the performance like, for the month of February? It won't be able to do it because I still haven't built the system, right? The infrastructure. So now I'm building the infrastructure. I'm connecting. I'm literally still doing it manually. I'm sure there's a better way, right? You could definitely use APIs, right? And then just connect to all, like Clarity, which is by Microsoft, Meta, by Facebook. I could definitely use APIs to collect all these different data sources, and then I can pull the data and then create this sheet. So I also built the skill, and I was like, hey, could you mimic or model Tableau, which is the software that literally does great presentation. It does data mining, and then it compiles the report so that you can have a really great report. So I literally just told it, hey, just act like Tableau, and then could you go in and literally give me a quick cliff notes of what is the performance of launch this weekend? What did I do? Where are the gaps? Where's the room for improvement? So this is the report, and I wanted to share with you, full transparency, right? It's still relatively new. I've had this domain for a long time, but I haven't done anything with it. And now that, I have bandwidth, I can literally just go in and watch me grow, how I take like this idea, which was launched this weekend, and watch me grow month by month, week by week. What am I focusing on, and what am I doing to actually grow launch this weekend, right? So the first thing is, for the month of February, there was no traction. Like I was literally rebuilding the site, launch this weekend, putting it together, and then also creating the systems. Like, what was the system? What's the workflow going to look like? What do I need to do? Because I was all over the place. I knew I had an idea, right? And this idea came from years of coaching. I knew there was definitely a very specific problem in the industry for founders, whereby they second guess pulling the trigger to actually move forward, to make that decision, to launch that idea, right? And a lot of times they go into consumption, a lot of consumption, but no implementation. So it's a problem that I'm very familiar with from years and years of coaching and consulting, right? So the problem is, in fact, I was a victim of the same problem, because I've had this launch this weekend domain for over 3 years, right? And didn't do anything with it, right? I would say I'll do it, but there's this and this. So it's almost like I'm telling people what they ought to do, and I'm not doing it myself. So there was definitely a cognitive dissonance there. So I decided, okay, let me just do it. So here's the thing. For the month of February, because it literally started month of February, right? Officially. So couple of things. This is where the traffic looks like. I did do a little bit of paid. I think most of it I did paid. It was desktop. It's paid, but majority of it, if you look at it, is definitely paid traffic. So I'm going to do paid traffic and just test ideas. I think if you have the bandwidth to actually run paid traffic, run it so you can very quickly eliminate what works and what doesn't. I think a lot of times people spend so much time trying to actually crack the organic method when you post and you try and see what actually is hitting, and then that takes forever. I like to shortchange that time frame, the learning curve, and quickly get to, hey, what's working, what's not, right? So with paid traffic, I spent about $148 or $49 and a revenue of just $44. So I only had a customer, right? But this is just literally like in a nutshell. This tells me, hey, US was 131 sessions. Mexico came in a good second. South Africa and other, I don't know what other means, right? So traffic, let's get down to traffic. Direct, 300. Facebook paid was about 249. IG paid, AN, I don't even know what AN stands for, right? But the number one page was definitely the home page. There's the launch, there's the thank you. A couple of people, I think it was 11 sessions. I don't know how they got to the thank you. I think it's also including me testing, right? But that gives you a little bit of depth of, hey, from the clarity sessions, it shows there was 169, but from Google Analytics, it says there's 796 different users. The good thing is the average engagement was about 5 minutes. So there's I'm looking at how much time are they spending on the page, right? And what's the bounce rates? Like that's a really important metric, because bounce rates tells me, hey, when they landed on the page, did they immediately bounce? If that means, hey, they came in and left almost immediately. If they stayed, what was the percentage scroll? So 62.68, that's pretty good, right? For cold traffic, 2.9 pages per session, not bad. 18.93 dead clicks, fine, right? As long as you understand, and this just gives you an overview. I think the most important metric definitely is how much was money spent, how much did you earn. Those are the two. And then now you have your tertiary or your secondary metrics, which is, hey, what was the quality of the traffic? Who was coming in? What did they do when they were on the page? Things like that, right? Looking at the ads, it's going to tell me a little bit about the ads, and I can go in and look at the creative and see, hey, which creatives are actually doing a lot of the heavy lifting, right? But this tells me, hey, because I had 3 campaigns, right? I was testing different audiences. I was just literally just running tests. For 143, it's actually 148, 149. Let's round it off. That's not much, right? It's not much to get statistical relevance and say, oh, I can confidently say that this is what happened, this is whatever, but we're on the right track. I wouldn't know, I would just be posting organically and posting, and I'm not getting the traction. So this is adding a little bit of matchstick fuel to the equation so that I can see, okay, what do I ought to do? What should I be doing? What are some of the things I ought to be focusing on, right? And then from there, there's the revenue side. I know I was already in the hole, spent 149, got 44 back, which is okay. That's the cost. It cost me about 100. I spent $148 to get $44. That gives me a rough idea of how much it costs to actually acquire a customer, right? And this was way more. I had acquired a customer before I got to the 148, but this just gives me a rough ballpark, right, of how much to spend. And again, the other big problem that I did is after I acquired a customer, instead of actually doubling down on what brought the customer, I went and complete entrepreneurs, shiny object syndrome, where you get a result, instead of doubling down to the core reason of how you got the result, we go in and start something completely different, right? But anyway, I would say, I'm not even angry at that. I would completely just say, hey, I was just testing different variations, right? There was content. I did post a lot of content, but it wasn't indexed, so it's not even giving me. I think I posted, how many posts? All blog posts. I did 24 blog posts, right? I was doing 5 in sessions of 5. So you see, I did one on the 27th, on the 18th, and on the 10th. I was doing 5, and the reason why I could do 5 at a time is because I'm literally using my Claude agents, right? Octopus is beautiful. So Octopus, just for context, Octopus is like the big boss, right? Like how can I call it? The CEO. I'm the owner, then Octopus is the CEO, and then we have all these different agents, right? There's an agent for article writing. There's an agent for creating creative, right? There's an agent for hooks. There's an agent. So I have all these agents who do all the disciplines, the different disciplines, and then me and Octopus sit down and look at, hey, what we ought to focus on. But I did 28 posts, so I haven't even, some of them haven't even gotten indexed correctly. So I definitely need to go in and make sure they're indexed. I did do AEO, AEO just stands for Answer Engine Optimization, right? So I did put in some of the HTML code. I do actually have a complete agent, right? A skill within the workflow that actually does that for me. I just went and did research and equipped this agent with all the AEO parameters that are needed for voice prompting, so that if someone actually asks questions that are related to what I'm doing, my site will actually come up. So I did all of that. I think it just takes time. So overall, the insights, these are all the insights, and this is what I'll be working on, to improve and then definitely get back to the saddle. First thing is definitely organic traffic. I have to figure out the indexing part. The second part of it is negative ROAS, right? So Octopus didn't know that I was running tests. They're just looking at it and approaching it like this is a real business, right? And a real business, you have to look at what went out and what came in. So I love that Octopus is on top of it. So definitely we'll address that, and this is something we're going to look at. I think there was a huge metapixel attribution discrepancy. We fixed that because what happened is Meta was actually counting me every time I would go in and make a change. The pixel was actually firing and counting me as a buyer, as a person who purchased when I wasn't really purchasing. I was the person who was just fixing the pages. So fix that just last minute, and then hopefully month of March we'll be able to actually get accurate, clean data, right? Page speed, we're definitely going to adapt to that, because threshold 2.5 seconds, you're losing your conversion. When you talk to a conversion rate optimization expert, the first thing they look at before even looking at the headlines and things like that, they look at, hey, is your tech actually in place to actually load the pages much faster, so that when you have visitors that come to your site actually loads? Because people are impatient, man. 2.5 seconds, if your page hasn't loaded within 2.5 seconds, they're gone. So I have to definitely do a speed test and make sure everything is running okay on that end. And then mobile centric, definitely. So these are some of the things we're definitely going to work on tomorrow. But just wanted again to give you the ultimate overview of what progress looks like, right? So that you can see what launch this weekend is working on, how progress is coming along. I'm literally just documenting so that in the future, hey, if I can literally use this knowledge to actually look at, to consult on, hey, what are you doing with your meta, where the problems are, and things like that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you haven't signed up for launch this weekend, this is what we do during the workshop. Make sure you sign up. Go to launchthisweekend.com. Take care. Cheers. Lee.